Hi, how are you? If you follow both me and also Intellica Living, which is the hub that I run in Winona, you will have probably seen that we have got a new machine called a P90, which is a PEMF and terahertz technology kind of combined in a foot plate. You put your foot on and you sit and you let the energy move through you, and it helps in so many things like pain and inflammation and reoxygenating your blood and yeah, all sorts of things. Anyway, it's a new machine, so we're very excited, and everybody who tried it was has been really impressed with it so far. And I thought, okay, I need to have a go as well, of course. And so I sat on it for half an hour, which is the normal just a very low setting because it was the first time that I'd used it, and I just wanted to feel that I'm very sensitive when it comes to energies and kind of technologies like that. So I always kind of start small and see how I go. And it was really interesting because one, of course, I wanted to see how it felt, but two, I wanted to start because I'm interested that when we bring our body back into your coherence with the Earth's energy, which is what PMF is all about. What does that do from an energetic level? We know what it does from a physical level, and it's hugely beneficial. And obviously, because we're getting bombarded with Wi-Fi and all of the different kind of bad EMFs that are around, we are very unlikely to be in sync with the Earth's electromagnetic field because we don't spend enough time outside, we're not barefoot, all of those sorts of things. So, but I wanted to see because, I was reading a while ago actually, it's about, one of the women who's meant to be one of the oldest living uh, women. Um, One of the reasons that they say that she lived for so long was because she spent her whole life barefoot. She didn't wear shoes. And so she was constantly in touch and in contact with the earth, and therefore in with the earth electromagnetic field. And so what I'm interested in exploring with this P90 is if we can bring our body back into coherence with the Earth's magnetic field, then what impact does that have energetically and in how we can then shift through and move through some of the blocks and your kind of limitations that we hold. So I sat on the machine, and I could just feel a light tingle, all of those sorts of things, nothing too crazy. You have to make sure you drink water before and after, obviously. And then I was driving home, and I could literally, it's almost like I could feel my cells unlocking. It's like there was this sense of movement, so spaciousness, movement, and unlocking, as though things that had been kept, kind of unaccessible, were able to be accessed. And it felt not just about energy, because I did feel that there was an improvement in kind of energy. Production, but it was even like nutrients and things like that. It all felt it was starting to get unlocked, which was amazing. But then what happens for me is that when I can sense that there's an energetic pattern wanting to be released. So something's being stirred up. I usually get a bit of a sore neck, and if I don't pay attention to it, it ends up into quite a big migraine. And so I was literally driving home from having tried that, and I started to get a sore neck in this particular point. I'm like, okay, all right, there's obviously something that is being stirred up by sitting on this machine. And so I came home and I thought, right, I'll tune in and see what it is. And so I did a kinesiology session for myself, and it was amazing because the first thing I noticed was, and of course I'm working on myself, so I can feel the difference. But I felt very open, and the session was very quick. The information was coming very quick. Sometimes it can feel like you're sludging through mud, when the defense patterns are kind of like, I do want to let it go, but I'm not 100% convinced. That's how it feels for me when I'm doing a session. When the subconscious is like, yeah, we know we need to let this go, but there's some resistance here. Whereas it was very open, it was very fast, the information, everything was flowing through really, really quickly. And what was coming up was all of these ways that I've kind of protected myself and kept myself in defense modes, energetically and physically, obviously. And also, that need, because if anybody knows me, a little bit of not a control freak. I'm not a control freak, but I do, I do keep a hold of quite a lot of stuff, and manage quite a lot of stuff, which, is part of being a manifesting generator. It's part of being a visionary, all of these things that I hold the vision of things. But we also need to know when it's time to let go and bring others in, so to help you hold it all and help you to grow it. And that's the things that were coming up, that that need to hold things by myself, was just releasing. And again, you're very similar to the cells being unlocked. It felt exactly that same sort of shift was happening from an energetic and psychological point of view, was that I was feeling able to just go, okay, all right, who can I welcome in to help me to do this, or help me to, especially in relation to the hub, really helped me to build the hub. But also what I was sensing, because it was linking in with my liver meridian, was also this creativity. How can I let even more things flow through me, even more creativity? You're really using this prefrontal cortex. The liver meridian is very much about that creative free spirit. So the dreams, the aspirations, the visions. How do we bring them in? How do we stay committed to them? How do we let them flow through us? And it was all of that sort of stuff that was coming up after the session. So it was fascinating. It was really interesting. And yeah, I'm feeling, and like I say, very open. I think that was the thing I really noticed, was it just felt that, because my body, I felt like it had relaxed, it had opened, it was more in tune with the earth's energy. And so therefore, when we look at the impact of the Schumann resonance and all of that within us, when we can really be connected, it really allows us, one, to feel safe, and also just to be supported and held, and nourished, by this energy as well. And so that's what it felt like, that because my physical body, because of these energies that had pulsed through me, from the P90, that then I was able to access these, limitations, or these patterns that I held. And they went back for a very long way. Like they were, ancient Lemurian. They'd come from, my time in Lemuria, so they were very old patterns, that were coming up, to be cleared, which is amazing, because there's so many timelines, that we are crossing, and I'll do another video on that. But there's so many timelines that we're crossing, and frequencies that we're crossing at the moment, that we're being able to access these, beliefs, these fears, these, all different, frequencies, that we have been in before, but have often caused us to contract because of what's happened. We're kind of reconnecting with them, and if we're clearing them, then we're opening up to that potential that was held before. So it's very exciting. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that because I find it really interesting, and I'm going to, be exploring that a lot more. Is how that I work with, the PMF, and terahertz machine, with the functional neurology and with all of the other work that comes through me, then it's it's going to be a really quite fascinating way of working, I think, because so much of this is around the physicality. So the earth, our body, and then how much can we hold? How can we increase that capacity so that we can bring through these, the light, the frequencies, the wisdom, all of that from our multidimensional self.